What's up, y'all? Welcome to yet another episode of the Pushing Purpose podcast with your girl and your host, Tiffany, aka TILAGO. So thanks again and again. I always say this at the very beginning of the episodes for tuning in here on YouTube and listening on streaming platforms. I'm really grateful that you're here. Grateful that you're tuned in as always. If you haven't already, if you're here on YouTube, go ahead and like this video. Like that you like the aesthetic. Do y'all like the aesthetic? Like, I want to ask that since this is the third episode now. How y'all feeling? Like, this is my living room. This is my couch. I'm in my space. I'm inviting you guys into my space. And this is the vibe. I got my poppy with me today. I need to stop shouting people out because they have not sponsored me yet. Okay. But, I got my poppy. Love me some poppy. I'm sitting here with my notebook, got my laptop here, got all the things. And this is it's the vibe. I love being cozy. And so, yeah, that's where we are. So anyway, I keep looking over here too, because I am, what do you call it? Casting my phone to my TV. That's how I pay attention to see if like it actually looks good. If I'm actually, the lighting's good, everything's good. Listen, you got to improvise. I'm telling y'all, when I said in the first episode that perfect is not coming, I was like, I have more than enough things to use right now to get this thing popping, get this thing shaking and rocking. Okay. And so I just need to do what I need to do. So I'm telling y'all all the behind the scenes things. But anyway, in today's episode, okay, you've already seen the title, but we are talking about something else I am learning in this season. And the thing I'm really learning in this season is this concept of stewardship. I've been learning it my whole life. But I think that sometimes that word can feel like way too churchy, but it really is just a normal, regular word, y'all. The word itself is, right? You are stewarding. How are you stewarding? How are you taking care of things? How are you handling things? How are you handling the things that are in your care? Are you responsible? Are you dependable? How are you handling things? That's what stewardship really means and really is. And it's a really important thing. And in this season, I'm really learning that there is a way that you have to steward every single season in order to steward the season well, right? Like to get a checkbox beside well done for this season, there's a way that we have to steward the seasons that we are in and the seasons that God places us in and allows us to go through. And I say all that having, as y'all know, coming out of a year of a really hard season, it was still a season I had to steward well. Now, I can't tell you that I don't know if I really stewarded it well. A lot of my, friends and family say I did, but, internally you just beat yourself up or you're a little more hard on yourself. And I feel like I was really hard on myself and have been hard on myself. And so I don't know if I really stewarded the season well. I feel like I was grumpy throughout the season. I felt like I was disgruntled. I felt like I was, just like, bleh, through the whole season. And that's just not the way that I am normally. And it's also not the way that I feel like God was asking me to steward that season, whether I wanted to be in it or not. And that's the thing, right? Like a lot of the seasons that we go through, when I start thinking about the word stewardship over seasons, we normally think about seasons that are hard, right? If I say like, hey, are you stewarding this season well? I'm asking you, you feel like, or I feel like people are asking me only about like really hard seasons or really like difficult seasons or seasons I don't want to be in, right? Or things that I wouldn't have called myself to. But whenever we're like thriving and we've got plenty and things are good, people aren't coming up to you asking you like, hey, are you stewarding this season well? Like, or that's not something that comes to your mind, right? But we should be thinking about every single season in the same way of like, am I stewarding this season well? And what does that mean? And what does that look like? And how do I do that? And is it important, right? And so first of all, yeah, it's important. Like, I believe that there is no season that is without significance, right? Every season has purpose. Every season is by design. Every season that God allows us to see and to go through is for a reason. And so every season deserves to be stewarded well. And I believe that God is asking each one of us to steward every season he puts us through, or I say puts us through in that way, but that he allows us to go through well. So it's very important that we have this perspective, that we think about how can we steward a season well, right? And I think there's some ways that we can, like, I think there's some overarching ways. So I want to give us 3 different ways that I believe that we can steward our seasons every season well. If we do these 3 things, if we lean into these 3 things, then we'll always steward our seasons well. And it's something that I've learned over my lifetime. And I've seen, other people, how they steward their seasons. And I've learned from the good, the bad, the ugly of their seasons and of my life. And that's how I kind of feel like I've come to this conclusion of these three things, kind of stand at the forefront and stand high and lofty for the answer of how do we steward seasons well, right? So let me just give them to you right off bat. The three ways that I believe that we steward seasons well is, number one, we, newsflash, obey every single thing God tells us to do in a certain season. We obey. That's number one. Number two is that we do everything that we do in that season as unto God and God alone and God first. And then third, we find a way to be grateful. We have to be grateful in every season. And so let's really break those down. I might end up finding ways to just kind of chit chat about, my life and the ways that I've been stewarding the seasons that I'm in. And so, like I said, number one, we've got to obey everything that God tells us to do. Y'all, if I don't talk about anything else on this channel or on this podcast, I'm always going to talk about obedience, because it is so important to obey God. It's so important to obey God and to obey our Father and to obey what he tells us to do, because it is the best thing for us, y'all. It's the best thing for us, no matter how it feels, no matter how it seems, no matter how it looks. It is the best thing, the best decision to obey God. And in every season, if we're living our lives in seasons, right? And sometimes we can't even unfortunately, we have a hard time discerning when a season is coming to an open or to a close. But we live our lives in seasons, so we have to start thinking about it like that. And some people also hate using the word season for our lives because they feel like it's too churchy. But it doesn't matter whatever word you want to use here. Okay, our lives are looking like seasons. We go through seasons in life. We have periods of time in life that each run into each other and overlap and all the things. So anyway, obeying God in every season. In order to see everything and do everything and become everything that God has ordained for you to become and to do and to be and to see in a certain season, you have to obey him, because what he is telling you, the instructions that he's giving you, are the blueprint for how to see and do and be all the things that he's wanting you to do and see and be. And so if we it's almost like an instruction manual, right? Y'all know how IKEA, this right here came from IKEA, right? And y'all know IKEA will give you a little instruction book or sheet of paper, and ain't no words, ain't no none of that. It's just put this here, put this there, put this here, put this there. Now with IKEA furniture, you can get yourself caught up. Okay. If you try to do it without the instructions, with any furniture, with anything, you can get real caught up with trying to do things without the instruction manual, without the sheet of paper. Right. And so what if I would have taken the instruction manual for this and just been forget you, which I maybe have did, but whatever. But you take it and you're forget that. I'm just going to look at these pieces and I'm going to create my own thing. I'm going to do whatever I want to do and make this into whatever I want to do. I want it to be. That would be a problem. It might not have turned out like this, right? It might not have looked like this anymore. But I think that we do that in our lives so often and in so many seasons, because God gives us instructions for our lives. He says, hey, I want you to obey me in this way. Do this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Even if it's not super clear, he gives us instructions on what to do. And we're well, I'm looking at the pieces of this season right here, and I really want the season to look like this. And so I'm going to do this. I'm going to take this piece and put it here. I'm going to take this and put it here. I'm going to take this and put it here. And it's completely different and opposite of what God is telling us. And we end up with a picture or with a life or with things in our hands and things that we're looking at and becoming and seeing and doing that are completely different than what God intended for us to be and to do and to see in that season. And it's because we didn't obey him. And so if you want to truly optimize and see everything you're supposed to see and have everything you're supposed to have and be everything you're supposed to be in a certain season, you have to obey the instructions, obey the instruction manual. No, he does not give it to us exactly like IKEA. Shoot, the instruction manual that God gives us be a little less clear than even an IKEA instruction manual. But at least he gives us instructions and he says, hey, if you do this one step, I'll give you even more vision for the next. I'll give you even more perspective for the next thing. And so it'll be easier and easier to obey me because you can trust that I got you, that what I tell you to do really does lead you to the path of righteousness, right? It really does lead you to the next best thing. And so in order to get the most and to steward every season well, the first thing we got to do, and we got to start just settling in our hearts and our minds, I'm going to obey God by all means, but no matter what it costs, no matter what it looks like, I'm going to obey God because I want to see at the end of this season, I want to look like, and I want to see, and I want to have done and want to have everything that God intended for me to have. And the only way that I can do that is if I follow him and follow him closely and follow his instructions. So we've got to obey. And then the second thing that we need to do in order to steward every season well is to do everything that we do as unto the Lord. Now, this one is hard because we can't see the Lord physically, right? What we see is people. What we see is things and possessions. And so a lot of times what we do things, we use our skills and our gifts and our talents to get the approval of man, to be liked by more people, to get the promotion, to move up in the ranks, to move up in popularity. Like we do things for what we can see, for more money, right? For more possessions, for more XYZ. And it's like, so we do these things, but they're not really as unto God. And he's like, I am the one who needs to get all the glory out of your life. Out of this season, I'm the one who needs to get all the glory. And so we have to set our focus on him, continue to keep our minds stayed on him. Our focus, our eyes, our hearts have to always be turned towards him in every season so that he can get the ultimate glory out of it, not us, right? Like it's easy. I'm telling you, I know because we're human. It's easy for us to want to get the glory and to default to, hey, I'm going to get the glory out of this. Oh, this is my gift and my talent. And now that you see it, you believe that you think I'm better than whatever, or you think I'm like all that and, some sliced bread. That's not it. That's not it. All that and a bag of chips. The next best thing since sliced bread. Bro, whichever. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Like, why is that not coming back to me? All that and a bag of chips for sure. We use our gifts and our talents, and it's because we're like, I want somebody to look at me and be like, ooh, okay, I like what they got. You want people to put you on a pedestal, whether you say it or not, right? And I'm saying this to myself too. You want people to put you on some sort of pedestal or put you in some sort of like display box as if you are the trophy, as if you are the prize, as if you are the gift. But you didn't give yourself the gift that you have. You didn't give yourself the talents that you have. You didn't put yourself in the position that you're in right now. You did not do that. You had to be put there. You had to be allowed to be placed there by God. And so he deserves every bit of your glory, or of the glory. I'm talking about your glory too, but every bit of the glory. He deserves every bit of it. And so every single thing that we do, we have to do it as unto him, as if he is the only one in the room, as if he's the only one watching us, as if he's the only one that's ever going to see what we have done. We've got to do it all as unto him. And then as we're doing them as unto him, we've got to do them with excellence. We've got to do them with joy, right? Because there's a reason that we get to do it. And if we're getting to do it, if God is allowing us to do it, then we can do it with excellence, right? We can do it if we're doing it as unto him, not haphazardly, not half-hearted, just because it's like, this is a season I don't want to be in. This is things I don't want to do. Why am I here? Like we're just grumbling and, griping. And God is like, no, I want you to do this as unto me, which means like, I want you to give it your all. I want you to give it your best. I'm a king, right? God is like, I am a king. I'm the Lord of your life. So I want you to do this to the best of your ability, and I know your best of your ability because I created you. I know the potential that you have within you. And so I want you to do these things that I have set for you to do in this season as unto me, to the best of your ability, with everything that you have, with your whole heart, because how you steward this season, this is what I should have said at the top. How you steward each and every season determines how the next season is going to go for you. Because God really does look at how you steward each and every season. if he sees that you're using a season or doing a season dirty, he's like, okay, clearly they're not learning everything they need to learn from this season. So I'm gonna just put these same lessons in the next season. And until they learn it, it's just gonna keep showing up in the same way. But you have to get to the point to where you're like, okay, this is for God. My whole life is a sacrifice as unto God. If you are a believer and a follower of Jesus, then you have to remember and tell yourself every single day, I have to die to myself, die to my desires, die to my flesh, die to what I want, die to what I want to see, die to what I want to be. And I have to accept what God says about me, because it is the best thing. It will give me the most fulfillment. It will bring me the most joy. It will give me the most peace. I will have the best life that I can possibly have if I would just surrender and sacrifice myself. Every single day you wake up in the morning, you say, hey, I'm going to present my life as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto God. Because it is my worship. This is the way that I worship you, by giving you my life. So everything that I do, every action I put out, everything that I do, I'm doing it as unto the Lord. And so I'm going to do it wholeheartedly, with excellence and with joy. And then, y'all, the third thing that we have got to do in order to steward every season well is to be grateful. Some of y'all are like, okay, now she been going in already, and then she gonna tell me to be grateful for this season? Who is she? Who does she think she is? I think I'm a child of God, and I think I'm somebody who can tell you this because this is something that God kept telling me. In really hard seasons, in really great seasons, in every season, be grateful. In every single season of your life, there is something that you can be grateful for. Because guess what, y'all? In God's grace, He does not allow us always, or He gives us things that we don't deserve. And in His mercy, He allows us to have things that we also don't deserve, right? And so it's like He's allowing us to have these things and see these things and be in these situations that we actually don't deserve, because there's nothing that we can do within ourselves to get more, like to get more grace or to get more mercy. It's something that just He embodies it, and He gives it to us because He loves us, right? And so it's actually by His grace that you are in the season that you're in, whether you are happy, sad, love it, hate it, enjoying it, not. It doesn't matter. Where God has you, He has you for a reason. And so you've got to start leaning into, okay, how can I wake up and be grateful for this season, rather than waking up and being like, oh, God, get me out of here, right? I have learned over my course of my life, the more times that I say, oh, God, get me out of here, oh, God, get me out of here, it's almost like He slows down with trying to get me out of a certain season. He's like, oh, she really want to get up out of here. Okay, let me let her stay here a little bit longer. And it's like, no, that's not what I'm asking for. But God is like, hey, I know best, not you. And so if I still have you in this season, then there is a reason that you are here. So find something to be grateful for. Are you great? If all you have to be grateful for is that you got to wake up in the morning, is that you got to breathe, is that you have food, like, be grateful for those things. You're more blessed than you think. God has put more grace on your life than you think He has, right? You have more favor than you think. And so we've got to always find something to be grateful for and have gratefulness and gratitude within our hearts. And then we got to live from that within every single season. And I really believe that if you're grateful with even the little things, then God can bless you with more to be grateful for. And so I just really believe that if we would steward our seasons in this way, if we would obey everything that God tells us to do, if we would do everything that we do as unto Him, and if we would really, truly be grateful, that we would get every single thing we need to get out of each and every season. I said it in the last episode where I want to, in every season of my life, I want to take a sponge and I just want to squeeze out every bit of water, excess water that there is. And I want the same in our lives, man. I want to squeeze everything out of every single season that we go through. And I want to get everything out of it because I know that God has so much in each and every season for each and every one of us. And so in order to do that, we've got to steward each season well. And that's not to get to the next season and get more. It's not to get to the next season and get more. It is to be in the season that you are in and to give God all the glory and to get the fulfillment and be used by Him in the way that He wants to use you. That's why we steward well. It's not to get more. It's to be who God has called us to be. And so I hope that this is encouraging you. I hope it's been convicting me, right? But I hope it has encouraged you to look at your season a little bit differently. And I want to ask us, our pit stop journaling prompt moment of the week. And the prompt is, how are you stewarding this current season? How are you stewarding this current season? I want you to rate yourself. Ask yourself, like, hey, am I on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 to 10? A 1 is like, I'm doing horrible. I am waking up and I'm saying, get me out of here. Or a 10 is like, I'm doing pretty well. Like, I'm actually doing all these things and being really intentional. Whichever side of the spectrum that you're on, I want you to be honest with yourself, as I always ask us to be with our journaling prompts. But go and journal about this. How am I stewarding this season? Like, how is this really going for me? And am I stewarding it in the way that God wants me to? And then I want you to ask yourself the next question. No matter how you answer the first one, I want you to ask yourself this next question, which is, what am I getting out of this season? And when you ask yourself that, what am I getting out of this season? I want you to ask yourself in the way of like, am I getting everything that God wants me to have out of this season? Am I being everything that he's calling me to be in this season? Like, am I squeezing out the sponge of this season? And I want you to be honest about that too, because there's probably so much more that we can be doing. I'm telling you, there's so much more than I know I can be doing in each and every season of my life, especially the one right now. And so ask yourself those things as you go and journal this week. And of course, I want to say thank you again for listening and for watching and for tuning in. Once again, it means the absolute world to me that you're here. The Pushing Purpose podcast would not be where it is without you. And so I'm just really grateful. I pray that you got something out of this episode, and I pray that you got enough out of it that you want to share it with somebody. And so make sure you tap that share button down below and you share it, shoot it to a friend, a family member, anybody that you think needs to hear it, a coworker, I don't know who, but shoot it to somebody you think needs to hear this episode. And then I also want you to make sure you like and you comment down below. What did you get out of this episode? And maybe you answer the journal prompt in the comments down below. Maybe you say, I'm actually stewarding this season really horribly. This is a safe space. I know it's the internet, but this space right here is a safe space. Okay. And so let's be vulnerable with one another. Comment down below about how you're stewarding this season, and definitely subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And then of course, if you are not following me on Instagram, make sure you do. That's where I'm most active. On Instagram at theTILAGO. I'm also on TikTok at theTILAGO. I'm not as active over there, but I'm pretty active. And then if you have anything you want to talk to me about, I said it in the last episode, I love having the discussions with you guys after these episodes. So shoot me an email, shoot me a DM. Let's chit chat. Let's talk more about where you are in this season. I will share whatever you want about my life in order to help you to live yours in a more God-aligned way. And so I'm just grateful that you are here. If you're listening on a streaming platform, make sure that you, of course, share it with somebody. Rate if you have never rated this podcast. And we love to see 5 stars, okay? We love to see you smile. And I love to see me smile. And the way I smile is with 5 stars. Okay, but anyway, I'm just really grateful for each and every one of you. I hope that you have a beautiful rest of your week. And until you hear me or see me again, go push some purpose. See y'all.